Hello aspirants, a very good morning to all of you. This is Vilasini from Veranda IAS. So friends, I hope all of you had an amazing weekend and a productive weekend, right? So இன்னைக்கு நம்ம என்ன பண்ண போறோம்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா the daily current affairs analysis for the dates 9th, 10th and 11th of August 2025. இதை நம்ம இன்னைக்கு எக்ஸ்டென்சிவா கவர் பண்ண போறோம். So yes, sometimes what happens is when the weekend kicks in, right, many of you feel the need to take a long break. But let me tell you, ஒரு ஆஸ்பிரண்ட்டாக இருக்கும்போது வீக் டே அண்ட் வீக்கெண்டுக்கு பெரிய டிஃப்ரென்ஸ் கிடையாது. இன்ஃபேக்ட் இட் இஸ் அபவுட் ரீப்பிங் த பெனிஃபிட்ஸ் ஆஃப் எக்ஸ்ட்ரா டைம் அண்ட் மேக்கிங் த பெஸ்ட் யூஸ் ஆஃப் இட் பை ஸ்ட்ரைக்கிங் அ பேலன்ஸ் பிட்வீன் லைஃப் அண்ட் ஸ்டடீஸ். ஸோ இந்த கான்டெக்ட்ஸில் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா மெனி அ டைம்ஸ் வாட் வி டூ இஸ் சண்டேல வர பேப்பரை நம்ம நெக்லெக்ட் பண்ணுறோம், thinking that okay, one day break day எடுத்துக்கலாம். But also it is important to cover topics on the Sunday because many important articles do come. So yes, nama initiative le we will cover that as well. So don't worry, I got you covered. So next வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா every day we begin with something positive, right? So usually Monday the first day of the week, right? The morning feeling of many people எப்படி இருக்கும்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா usually on a Monday either to take a holiday or either to work or to study. So you'll be fluctuated. But let me tell you, make yourself motivated, make sure that you are your sole motivator, and no matter what, get up, come there and begin your Monday fresh. Books open பண்ணுங்க, படிக்க ஆரம்பிங்க. When you start, automatically you will see a consistency and a flow. So yes, these two images are very reflective for your preparation. So first image பாருங்க, right? What do you understand from this image? Very beautiful image, right? Or sun தெரியுது, surrounded by beautiful trees and plants. There is water flowing and there is silence, right? So what does this image basically talk about? Any idea? So yes, let me tell you, this is nothing but solace, okay? So this talks about nothing but solace, solitude. Okay, so let me tell you guys, இப்போ right now we are in the month of August, கரெக்டா? ஸோ நிறைய பேர் வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா உங்கள் ப்ரிப்பரேஷனை மே மந்த்தில் ஷுரு பண்ணியிருப்பீங்க, ஆரம்பிச்சிருப்பீங்க. இல்லாட்டி நிறைய பேர் வந்து கொஞ்சம் ஏர்லியராகவே கூட நீங்கள் ஆரம்பிச்சிருக்கலாம். But whatever the case is, right, you might have noticed many changes within yourself and your surroundings. For example, you might have noticed that when you started preparation, right, your weekends were always with friends, you had a crowd, your life had many activities. But in the preparation kulla vandadukku aprom neenga notice பண்ணுவீங்க, your circle is becoming small, right? You're feeling a little bit different from what you used to be. So let me tell you, this journey will teach you a lot about yourself, and you will notice as you progress towards this journey, the path will become very lonely, very quiet and very silent. Not many people might be around you because your entire life வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா ஃபுல்லாகவே புக்ஸு படிக்கிறது இதிலே போயிடும். ஸோ அதனால் உங்களோட சோஷியல் சர்க்கிளாக இருக்கட்டும், இல்லை ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் லைக் யூனோ யோர் ஆக்டிவ் குரூப்ஸ் எல்லாமே கம்மியாயிடும். But this is a beautiful journey because this journey will teach you a lot about yourself. It will give you the opportunity to reflect upon yourself, to introspect and understand where you're going wrong and what you actually need to work upon. Okay, so the reason why I'm telling you this is, please don't feel overwhelmed that your social circle is becoming small. Please don't feel overwhelmed that you're doing something different. Let me tell you, success only starts the minute you take risk. So yes, it may be lonely for now, but eventually you will see light at the end of the tunnel. Okay, that is one. Next, in the image paranga, what does it say? Pause and reflect. Why is this important? Why this is important and பாத்தீங்கன்னா many a times வந்து நம்ம படிச்சுக்கிட்டே இருப்போம் கடைசி வரைக்கும் படிச்சுக்கிட்டே இருப்போம். But we will never analyze, are we doing the right thing? Is our strategy working? Are we scoring good marks in our tests? Are we completing syllabus on time? In the clear cut analysis நிறைய பேர் பண்ண மாட்டேங்கிறாங்க. The reason being, number one, they are lazy. Number two, they are scared. Whatever it is, come out of it. For the simple reason being, only if a person is able to understand where he or she is going wrong, will that person be able to come up with an effective strategy, execute it, and finally clear this exam. So here, planning, strategizing, and executing really matter. So that is why it is very important to pause and reflect. Because once in a while, யோசிச்சு பாருங்க, if this is a situation, Okay, you are studying, you are working hard, you have a timetable, etc. Try to put yourself outside this box and try to see whatever you're doing is right or wrong. So this is very very important. இதை மட்டும் நீங்க பண்ணி பாருங்களேன். You will see a difference in the way you study, a difference in the way you strategize, and a difference in the way you execute. So let me tell you, a clear mind is always a well planned and well executing mind. But a clouded mind, a confused mind does not see good results. So here I want you all to be the person who is able to embrace solitude and is able to pause and reflect on preparation and make the best of this one long year that you have, right? So all the very best, and I wish you all a bright and a positive week. So now with this, let us straight away get into the topics. So yes, as you all know, இன்னைக்கு நம்ம என்ன பண்ண போறோம்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா 9th August, 10th August and 11th August இருந்த important topics decode பண்ண போறோம் one by one. So number one topic, if you see, if we try to understand, Rahul Gandhi accused the election commission of institutionalized theft in the special intensive revision. So this is an ongoing topic. ரொம்ப நாளாவே நியூஸ் இருக்கு. Special intensive revision which is happening in the state of Bihar. The first draft roll has been released, right? And in the list la pathina, many people's names are missing. So here what has happened, right? Has this process been done in the right way? இந்த மாதிரியான ஏகப்பட்ட questions இருக்கு. So this topic வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா, it features in your GS paper 2 polity. Okay, fine. Next, Israel set for full control of Gaza city after security vote. So the cabinet under Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu basically இவங்க என்ன decide பண்ணிருக்காங்கன்னா, they are going to take control over Gaza, right? Demilitarize it completely, weed out Hamas. So இதுதான் is the plan. But here this plan has received a lot of criticism. Okay, and many people, Palestinian refugees, are very scared because already pathina the situation is very bad. In the step kuda, if it is going to be taken, what might be the ramifications upon them, they are very worried. Okay, so yes, in the topic ume pathina unga GS paper 2 international relations. Okay, next, Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana. Okay, beneficiaries in the financial year 2025-26. So in this case, it's about a scheme, right? Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, right? So LPG cylinders we are going to provide, especially to ensure that the health of the woman is much more better, right? Subsidized LPG cylinders are going to be given. So idu patti unga ellarkume theriyum, it's always in news. So we will understand what have been certain recent updates in this particular topic, right? So in the topic vandu pathina, yes, under social justice, beneficiary schemes for vulnerable sections, adakila we can bring it. So yes, unga GS paper 2 social justice. Okay, next, with tariffs, India's growth rate needs a careful watch. With tariffs, India's growth rate needs a careful watch. So yes, there was a very nice article about how India should prepare itself to deal with the imposition of tariffs by US. So unga ellarkume theriyum context enna. Earlier there was a 25% tax tariff. Now that has been totally increased to 50%. So 50% tariffs, right, on Indian goods entering the US. So what will be the implication on GDP? What will be the implication on current account deficit, right? What will be the implication on various sectors of the Indian economy? What will be the implication on inflation? Right? Will rupee depreciate? In the madriyana concepts we will try understanding, because these are some favorite areas of UPSC. Okay, so in the context of pathina, yes, GS paper 2 international relations, right? India US ties. Next, Russia launches construction of Kazakhstan's first nuclear facility. Right? So Kazakhstan, in the context of pathina, location based Central Asian countries, right? Location based topic become important, right? And idu vandu pathina again international relations kila kondu varala. Also with regard to geography, right? The distribution of various minerals, etc. So in the context of previous year questions pathina, cobalt which UPSC has asked. So in this context, we should know how to approach such questions. So yes, in the topic kume pathina, it features as a topic under your GS paper 2 IR and GS paper 1 geography kileyo idu kondu varalam. Okay, so these are the topics that we will be discussing in the context of 9th August 2025. So next, moving forward, let's talk about the important topics for your 10th August 2025. So in the context of the yes, in your international edition, the first page, there was an article, untouchability wall raised in Karur in Tamil Nadu brought down. Okay, so in the context of untouchability, right, a very pressing social issue that is there in the Indian society, right? So article 17 talks about abolition of untouchability, right? Why is it there? What is the new forms of untouchability, right? So idu patti we will discuss. Untouchability as an issue linked with caste system plays a vital role in your GS paper 1 Indian society. Also abolition of untouchability வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா GS paper 2 polity, because article 17 talks about untouchability. Okay, next, halfway into talks of the global plastics treaty, consensus remains elusive. So global plastics treaty, right? So idu patti nam already பேசியிருக்கோம். One thing you need to understand is many countries are finding it difficult to come towards any conclusion, right? So there is no proper way forward. So in the context of plastics, plastic related problems வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா உங்க GS paper 3 உங்க GS paper 3 environmentல வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா plastic and plastic pollution features as a vital topic. Next வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா in Gurez Valley, a lone man is archiving the Darshan story. So Darshan story. So in the Darshan group வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா they are a scheduled tribe, okay, in JNK. So in the context of the artifacts associated with this particular community, right? So idu patti there is an article. So in the context of unga GS paper 1 art and culture, like this could feature as an important topic. Okay, next வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா in search of the elusive and threatened fishing cat, right? So there is one cat variety. இது வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா it is called as fishing cat. So in the fishing catல என்ன ரொம்ப interesting பாத்தீங்கன்னா it is twice the size of a domestic cat, right? So we have very big cats. Big cats ன்னு பேசும்போது lions, cheetahs, leopards, they all are called as big cats. So இது வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா it is between a domestic cat and a big cat. It is an intermediate sized cat. So in the fishing cat patti, there was an article as to what are the threats it faces, right? Enna measures edukkalam to conserve it, where is it found, etc. So in the context, species in news play a very important role in the exam. And idu vandu pathingana unga GS paper 3 environment la, this could be an important area. Okay, so next, moving forward, talking about 11th August 2025, that is today illa irukra important topics வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா India has set an example in lion conservation. Okay, so lion conservation specifically இங்க பாத்தீங்கன்னா we will be discussing about the Asiatic lion. Okay, so the Asiatic lion located in the Gir National Park and the surrounding areas, again species related topic. So in the context of this features as an important topic in your GS paper 3 environment. Okay, policies must be made to mitigate crisis from tariff wars. Okay, so mitigate crisis from tariff wars. So in the context of we can bring this up. In the article Pata, it majorly talks about way forward, especially with regard to agriculture and food security. So in the context when we read the article, you'll be able to understand. But yes, here majorly because it talks about improving resilience towards agriculture and food security, we can bring the scope of this article under GS paper 3 economy, especially under agriculture. Okay, next, what are the new rules on chemically contaminated sites? So Environmental Protection Act 1986 kile some new rules have been brought about with regard to how we have to designate contaminated sites, right? Treat them. What are the issues at present? Idu patti discuss pannirukanga. So here pollution, especially water pollution, right? It features as an important topic in your GS paper 3 environment. Yes, so guys, idoda pathina we have effectively decoded all the major topics for today. So what we will do is we will start looking at each topic one by one. Okay, so I hope all of you do not have any doubts and all of you are clear. So yes, first topic வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா Rahul accuses election commission of institutionalized theft in special intensive revision exercise. So yes, உங்க எல்லாருக்குமே தெரியும் பீகார்ல வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா a special intensive revision exercise has been undertaken, right? So yes, last time இந்த பீகார்ல எப்போ பண்ணாங்கன்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா 2003. So அப்போலேருந்து இப்போ வரைக்கும் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா over 20 plus years have taken place. So the election commission feels the need to update the existing electoral roll. ஏன் அப்டேட் பண்ணணும்னு நினைக்கிறாங்க? Because one, outdated data. Second, electoral listல இருக்கிற நிறைய பேர் வந்து இறந்து போயிட்டாங்க. Many people have migrated and gone. Also duplicate entries நிறைய இருக்கு. So in the context, the election commission wants to undertake what is called as a special intensive revision exercise. But here we also know, right, Election Commission of India, it is a constitutional body, correct? So we have different articles, right? So here Election Commission of India is responsible for conducting elections to which bodies in Pathingana, to the office of the president, the office of the vice president, right, to the houses of the parliament and also to the state legislature. So this is Election Commission of India's role, right? At present, it is a 3-member body, right? So previously, it was a single-member body, right? So when the voting age was reduced from 21 to 18, it became a 3-member body. So in the context of conducting elections in a fair manner, upholding constitutional principles, ensuring fairness, accountability and transparency in the election process, இது எல்லாமே Election Commission of India ஓட role. But in the context வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா many opposition parties and many other parties have questioned the nature in which the special intensive revision exercise has been undertaken. So many people feel, is this fair? Election Commission of India பண்ணது கரெக்டா? Was this the right way? வேற ஏதாவது வேலை இதை பண்ணியிருக்கலாமா? And are all the details available to the citizen of India, right? So in the இடத்துல வந்து there are many loopholes and many opposition parties have pointed out. So in the context, let us quickly take a look at the background, right? And what we will do is என்ன present problems இருக்கு இதையும் நம்ம understand பண்ண try பண்ணலாம். So yes, so majorly ஏன் இந்த topic news இருக்குன்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா number 1, opposition is not happy with the special intensive revision exercise. Second வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா the draft electoral roll was recently released. இதுல வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஏகப்பட்ட பேரோட names வந்து இதுல இல்லவே இல்லை. So இது வந்து is also raising a new alarm. Like, is this entire process done in a fair manner or not? Okay, and all of you know article 326 in one of our constitution la irukku, correct? So article 326, right, it talks about universal adult franchise. So eligible Indian citizens 18 and above, they have the right to vote. So அப்படி இருக்கும்போது இந்த மாதிரியான mass exclusion, when we are mass excluding people, right, it is a type of disenfranchisement, correct? So here these are all some bone of contention with regard to this particular area. So yes, background understand பண்ண try பண்ணுவோம். So all of you know November, right? So November 2025 வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா Bihar is planning to go for its assembly polls. So இந்த context வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா special intensive revision exercise எப்போ ஆரம்பிச்சாங்கன்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா they started it in late June. செப்டம்பருக்குள்ள முடிக்கணும்னு நினைக்கிறாங்க. ஸோ லேட் ஜூன் டில் செப்டம்பர். ஸோ வித்தின் அ வெரி ஷார்ட் ஸ்பேன் ஆஃப் டைம் என்டையர் ப்ராசஸை ரொம்ப ஃபாஸ்ட் ட்ராக் பண்ணணும்னு நினைக்கிறாங்க எலெக்ஷன் கமிஷன் ஆஃப் இந்தியா. ஸோ அகெயின் எலெக்ஷன் கமிஷன் ஆஃப் இந்தியாவோட objectives, like I said, what did they already feel? மேஜர் வந்து நம்பர் 1, outdated data, கரெக்டா? ஸோ லாஸ்ட் டைம் இது எப்போ பண்ணாங்கன்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா 2003. ஏகப்பட்ட டைம் ஆயிடுச்சு. நெக்ஸ்ட் ஒன் வந்து illegal entries, illegal migrants நிறைய பேர் இதுல இருக்காங்க. ஸோ அதனால இதை பண்ணணும். Next one, many deceased people, right? And many people whose names are there which shouldn't be there. So this is one. Also வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா eligible unregistered voters கூட இருக்கலாம். They have to also be added to the list, correct? So இதுதான் வந்து major mandate. And idea வந்து என்ன? Special intensive revision பண்ணா, right, we can exclude unwanted people, we can weed out duplicates, illegal migrants and include the unregistered but eligible voters. So இதுதான் வந்து overall mandate. So இந்த context வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா பீகார்ல லாஸ்ட் டைம் வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா it was done in 2003, correct? And around 8 crore people, easily 8 crore people, this exercise will be conducted across all districts. ஸோ இந்த கான்டெக்ட்ல வந்து என்ன கண்டுபிடிச்சிருக்காங்கன்னா 2003 பொறுத்த வரைக்குமே 4.96 people were already there. But in the people வந்து they can be added, but here they have to provide a proof of citizenship. இதுவே something new because never in the history has this been done. Okay, so இந்த மாதிரியான things were there. So yes, with regard to special intensive revision process வந்து எப்படி இருக்குன்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா usually first வந்து ஒரு booth level officer இருப்பாரு. அவர் வந்து வீடு வீடா ஒருத்தங்க வீடு வீடா போய் what they will do is they will try to check details. என்ன details பார்ப்பாங்க? நேம், ஃபோன் நம்பர், ஏஜ், இது எல்லாமே கரெக்டா, நேம், அட்ரஸ், ஏஜ், இது எல்லாமே கரெக்டா இருக்கான்னு பார்ப்பாங்க. Next will be document verification. So here around 11 documents have been listed, but the problem is this did not include Aadhaar, ration, voters ID. So yes, Supreme Court could have directed to include this so that many people will not be unfairly excluded. So Supreme Court கூட என்ன சொல்லியிருக்காங்கன்னா ஸ்பெஷல் இன்டென்சிவ் ரிவிஷன் எக்ஸசைஸோட மேண்டேட்டே வந்து should be inclusion and not exclusion. ஸோ அதனால அவங்க என்ன சொல்றாங்க, இன்க்ளூட் தீஸ் கைண்ட் ஆஃப் டாக்குமெண்ட்ஸ் ஆல்சோ சார், அட்லீஸ்ட் மைக்ரன்ஸ் அண்ட் இந்த மாதிரியான கேட்டகரிஸ் ஆஃப் பீப்புள் கேன் பெனிஃபிட். நெக்ஸ்ட் ஒன் வந்து என்ன ஆகும், டிராஃப்ட் ரோலை பப்ளிஷ் பண்ணுவாங்க. ஸோ இந்த டிராஃப்ட் எலக்டோரல் ரோலை வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா பிரைமரி லிஸ்ட் வில் பி தேர். யாரெல்லாம் அவங்களோட நேம்ஸ் இந்த லிஸ்ட்ல இல்லையோ தே கேன் ஃபைல் அ கிளைம். Then finally the final revised roll will be published. So இப்போ வரைக்கும் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா step 3 வரைக்கும் நம்ம வந்துட்டோம், which is the draft electoral roll has been released and many people's name is not there. Okay, so இதுதான் வந்து has becoming a point of concern because many people feel in the exercise, right, has become more of exclusion rather than inclusion. Okay, so next வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா in the context a few more things that we need to understand, right? So latest updates வந்து என்னன்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா just take a look at this. So yes, latest updates வந்து the opposition is not very happy. They feel that this entire process has been fast tracked. Many people have not been included. Many people have been excluded, right? And they feel that this entire process has not been done in a very fair manner. So this is the major bone of contention with regard to this particular topic. So background of special intensive revision paathutom, why this is happening paathutom, what are the problems so far, idu ellame nama discuss பண்ணிட்டோம். And yes, lot of people have been excluded. So that is the pressing concern. Okay, so now with regard to this, moving forward, there is a previous year question. Yes, please take a look at it. Consider the following statements. The Election Commission of India is a 5-member body. The Union Ministry of Home Affairs decides the election schedule for the conduct of both general elections and by-elections. Election Commission resolves the disputes relating to splits and mergers of recognized political parties. Yadallam correct? 2017 oda prelims question. Okay, so in the context வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா it is not a 5-member body. At present it is a 3-member body. First statement wrong. Then it is the Election Commission which decides the election schedule for general elections and by-elections. So second thappu. Third statement correct. So here the answer is D3 only. Okay, so please go read about Election Commission of India, read about part 15, right? Various articles பத்தி போய் படிங்க. Okay, so next look at this. ஒரு mains question 2022ல வந்து கேட்டிருக்காங்க. Discuss the role of the Election Commission of India in the light of the evolution of the MCC, Model Code of Conduct. 2022ல 250 words 15 mark question கேட்டிருக்காங்க. So yes, mains questions, a lot of mains questions, especially with regard to Model Code of Conduct, Election Commission of India, right? இது எல்லாமே வந்திருக்கு. So in this case, just go through all these areas, they could be important. Fine. So next, let's talk about this topic. Israel set for full control of Gaza city after security vote. Okay, so here நம்ம ஏன் இது நியூஸ்ல இருக்குன்னு பார்க்கிறதுக்கு முன்னாடி let us understand a little bit of the background. So yes, உங்க எல்லாருக்குமே தெரியும் 2023. So Israel-Palestine conflict has been going on for years and years together, right? So after that, so to know in detail about what happened in Israel-Palestine, what was the evolution of the relationship, what were the various accords, right? Playlist போய் check பண்ணுங்க. Israel-Palestine conflict பத்தி ஒரு detailed video has been done by me. You can take a look at it. You will have good clarity. Yes, but talking about the pressing issue, எப்போ வந்து இந்த recent crisis ஆரம்பிச்சதுன்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா 2023ல. Yes, October 7, 2023. So what happened was large amounts of Hamas, right? Hamas வந்து it's a militant group. So large amount of Hamas from Palestine என்ன பண்ணாங்க? Although Israel had, right, air like a dome like structure, like a defense like structure, right, to completely get to tap on incoming missiles, etc., right? So in the context வந்து என்னாச்சுன்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, despite all of this, despite Israel's technical superiority, right, all of its intelligence, strength, etc. என்னாச்சுன்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, through land, through bulldozers, many people came inside, right? Many people came inside and took many Israelites as hostages. The Hamas உள்ள வந்து நிறைய இஸ்ரேலைட்ஸை எடுத்துட்டு போயிட்டாங்க. ஸோ வந்து this problem happened in the year October 7, 2023. So here வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா many civilians were affected, right? அப்போ ஆரம்பிச்சது Israel retaliated back, right? And they started firing missiles. Many hospitals, schools, etc. were being targeted, right? Because according to Israel வந்து என்னன்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, Hamas is a militant group. And the problem is Hamas is using the civilians in Palestine as human shields. And according to them, Hamas is hiding in places like schools, hospitals, etc. So they are forced to damage infrastructure. This has been Israel's justification. But Palestine side வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, அந்த war ஆரம்பிச்சதுலேருந்தே ஏகப்பட்ட Palestinians are severely affected, right? On one side, there is a militant group called Hamas. On the other side, Palestinian civilians are suffering from hunger, malnutrition. Many people are dying day on day. Poverty, poor sanitary and health conditions, right? So இந்த மாதிரியான situation தான் இப்போ போயிட்டு இருக்கு இந்த இடத்துல. So in the context, Israel-Palestine conflict is it's ongoing. Every day நீங்க newspaperல பாருங்க, there'll be one particular article on Israel-Palestine conflict and its updates. So in the context, a few things that we need to understand is what has been the opinion of different countries, global perspectives on the Israel-Palestine conflict. So in the context, let's talk about Israel. So number one, Israel is a country which will look out for its own self-interest. சுத்தி இருக்கிற எல்லா countries are technically enemies of Israel. And in the case that Israel has to look out for itself, so Israel justifies its actions in the name of self-defense. Okay? And second, Israel என்ன சொல்றாங்கன்னா, Palestinian civilians are used as human shields by the Hamas. Okay, this is one. Next, if we talk about US வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா has been an ardent supporter of Israel. But on the other hand, recently US also called for a ceasefire, right? Poro, let's come for a ceasefire. UN and EU, they have also condemned Israel's actions and they have said, please, let's go for a ceasefire. Arab countries are also not happy, ceasefire சொல்லிருக்காங்க. France வந்து said that by September 2025, it will recognize a Palestinian state, right? India வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா, we have always had a good relationship with Israel, but at the same time, we have also never neglected Palestine. So in the context of be it defense, be it agriculture, India has had very good rapport with Israel. But என்ன ப்ராப்ளம்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, India is also trying to get a permanent seat in the UNSC. So here, a very conscious opinion really matters. So in the context, India has also said that yes, ceasefire is required, right? And it has also supported Palestine through humanitarian aid, right? So in the madriyana initiatives kuda India has undertaken, and it has always advocated for a two-state solution. So yes, இதுதான் வந்து is the perspective of different countries on the ongoing conflict. So yes, in the context வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா, why this was in news? So majorly வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா, the cabinet, right, which was led by Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, what he says is they will come up with a plan. In the planல வந்து என்னன்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா, the military will completely take over Gaza. It's not a permanent takeover, it is a temporary takeover. Idea வந்து என்ன? Palestine குள்ள இருக்கிற Hamas, right, especially Gaza, specifically Gaza, the plan is for Gaza city. The military will take over Gaza city, clean out Gaza city by getting rid of all Hamas. And for the civilians there, humanitarian aid will control. And yes, Israel பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் what they say is eventually வந்து this place called Gaza will not be governed by Israel, but rather will be handed over to the Arab forces. But here வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா, the opposition party in Israel itself says that hostage இருக்கிற Israelites, right, who are kept as hostages, it could be a threat to their life. And also the people in Gaza are very scared because so long they have been suffering from poverty, hunger, death, right? Incoming missiles left, right and center. So in the military takeover irunda, will their situation become even more worse? So yes, all this remains a question mark. We will only know when we further see what is going to happen. So far, these are the updates, okay? So Israel-Palestine is always in news in the topic. So updates மட்டும் நீங்க note பண்ணிக்கோங்க, that is more than enough. So in the context of ஒரு topic படிக்கும்போது India linkage also becomes important. So in the question பாருங்க, India's relations with Israel have of late acquired a depth and diversity which cannot be rolled back. Discuss. So இது வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா it's a 150 words 10 mark question 2018ல கேட்டிருக்காங்க. So two countries and its impact on India, its implications on India. இந்த மாதிரியான areas UPSC usually asks, right? So இப்போ ரஷ்யா உக்ரைன் war நடக்குது, what is the impact on India? Israel Palestine conflict implications on India. ஸோ லைக் திஸ் நம்ம வந்து ஒரு டாப்பிக்கும் இந்தியாவோட லிங்க் பண்ணி படிக்கணும். ஓகே, ஸோ நெக்ஸ்ட் மூவிங் ஃபார்வர்ட், look at this prelims question 2015ல கேட்டிருக்காங்க. map based questions features as a very important area. Which one of the following countries of the Southwest Asia does not open out to the Mediterranean Sea? Okay, option A Syria, option B Jordan, option C Lebanon, option D Israel. So please reply. What do you guys think? Comment sectionல போடுங்க. What is the correct answer, guys? What is the correct answer? So in this case, any idea what the correct answer is? So yes, the answer over here in this case is Jordan. Okay, so like this questions can come, so you should watch out. Fine. So go through all these questions, you will have a good amount of clarity. Next வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா, let's look at this article. Cabinet approval for oil firms to get rupees 30,000 crore for subsidized LPG. Okay, so in the context உங்க எல்லாருக்குமே தெரியும், there is a scheme called as Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana. Now in the primary scheme, what a mandate is to provide LPG, right? So cooking fuel primarily. So in the context வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா, many oil firms, right, especially three major oil firms, இவங்க வந்து they have been providing subsidies, massive subsidies, especially at a time when the global prices are soaring up. Okay, so என்ன major companies ன்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா, number one Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited, Hindustan Petroleum Corporation Limited, Indian Oil Corporation Limited. These are the three public sector firms, right? So basically they will receive a compensation. Compensation is worth rupees 30,000 crore. Primarily வந்து என்ன, for providing subsidies for the sale of cooking gas, especially at a time where in the entire world the prices are soaring up. Okay, so this is the context. But in the context, the new more than the news, நம்மளுக்கு என்ன important பாத்தீங்கன்னா, knowing about Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana. ஏன் இது கொண்டு வந்தாங்க, எந்த மினிஸ்ட்ரி இது கொண்டு வந்திருக்கு, what is the objective and mandate, இதோட phase 1ல எவ்வளோ பேர் இருந்தாங்க, latest how many people have been added, who are getting benefited, right? So the எல்லாமே we need to understand. So yes, let us understand few things. So in the context வந்து why number one it was majorly news is because of this. இன்னொன்று வந்து என்னன்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, the government has also planned the continuation of rupees 300 per LPG cylinder as a subsidy for those enrolled under the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana for the year 25-26 as well. So this is also one more update. So in the context of Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, ஏன் இது கொண்டு வந்தாங்க அப்படின்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, see if you take India, especially rural India, most of the women வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, they primarily resort to using firewood. Okay, so the firewood வந்து collect பண்றதுக்கு number one you're cutting trees, which is not good. Number two, when you're burning firewood, right, large amount of particulate matter, soot, etc., particles like black carbon and all get released, right? So in the context, it is also causing air pollution. But most importantly, the health of the woman or the elderly woman cooking the food is also affected because they are inhaling these harmful pollutants. So yes, in the issue of using firewood has a direct implication on health in terms of air pollution, and also it is leading to deforestation. So the எல்லாமே காமனா tackle பண்றதுக்கு the government came up with an idea called as the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana. So primary aim வந்து என்ன, this issue needs to be addressed, right? So Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas தான் nodal ministry. So என்ன பண்றாங்கன்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, deposit free LPG connections will be provided to women, especially from economically weaker backgrounds, right? So deposit free LPG connections கொடுக்க போறோம், right? So இந்த கேஸ்ல வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா, இது வந்து many phases நடந்துச்சு. So as of Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana 1.0, right? So இதுல வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா, easily வந்து 8 crore connections were achieved, right? But next, if you talk about 2.0, additional 1.6 crore connections were achieved. Next வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா, if you talk about the latest update so far, 75 lakh connections have been established. So in this case வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா the total has reached somewhere more than 10 lakhs. I mean more than 10.35 crore beneficiaries have been added into this. So in the context that has majorly reached out to a lot of people. It started with 8, went on, an additional 1.6 got added, and now வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா 10.35 crores are getting benefited. So yes, it is a very major initiative. ஏன் வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா in this case the health of the women is getting secured, the health of the children is getting secured, air pollution or the issue is coming down, unnecessary deforestation is also getting addressed, right? So also remember this, vulnerable sections பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் a healthy population can be a productive population, correct? So இவங்க வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா they are already vulnerable, yes, and they are also already having issues like poverty and unemployment. So here இதே fire கூட continue பண்ணா they will get trapped inside what is called as cycle of poverty, right? So they usually say a person who's born poor will continue to remain poor unless he changes his life. So in the context வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா there is a term, read about it, okay? It's called as cycle of poverty. So yes, so இந்த மாதிரியான டைம்ல வந்து by empowering people, right, by providing them education, by ensuring them good health, by providing them employment opportunities, yes, இந்த மாதிரியான people, especially vulnerable sections இருக்கிறவங்களுக்கு it's an opportunity to escape themselves from the shackles of poverty, right? So this initiative is a very empowering one. So in the context yes, which ministry mandate என்ன, right, and அதுக்கப்புறம் வந்து what has been the update so far, numbers. So yes, beneficiaries வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா it has touched 10.35 crores. So that is the major update. So next வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா some of the characteristic salient features of this particular Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana என்னன்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா number 1, deposit free LPG connection கொடுக்க போறோம், especially for women coming from economically weaker sections, right? So in the context வந்து this will be given without them having to pay any initial security deposit. That is number 1. Next என்ன சொல்றாங்கன்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா the government will provide some amount of money because ஒரு LPG cylinder இருந்தா மட்டும் பத்தாது இல்ல, they also need a stove, right? So to buy a stove etc so that they can start using it immediately, the government will also give some amount of monetary assistance. Then third வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா what they are saying is for every 14.2 kg cylinder, right, rupees 300 will be the subsidy, 9 refills are allowed in this context. So yes, next one, how this entire process is going to be done is through direct benefit transfer, DBT. So DBT oda basic advantage என்ன, the money will be directly transferred to the beneficiary's account, it will be credited to the beneficiary's account. So role of middlemen, leakages இது எதுவுமே இருக்காது. So these are some advantages. So read about DBT, right? So that is also important. Okay, so these are the salient features. So yes, in the context let us look at a UPSC previous year question. Reforming the government delivery system through the direct benefit transfer scheme is a progressive step, but it has its limitations to comment. Okay, so in the context whenever such questions come you need to justify positives and negatives rendume. So here it is a 10 mark question, 150 words, 2022 la கேட்டிருக்காங்க. So DBT, right, advantages disadvantages என்னன்னு போய் படிங்க. So next let's move on to this. With tariffs, India's growth rate needs a careful watch. So background enna, I think we all know US for a very long time has been very upset that it is having an unfair trade advantage with many countries across the world, right? So in the context வந்து US threatened long time back that எந்தெந்த countries ஓட unfair trade advantage இருக்கோ US will impose what is called as retaliatory tariffs. So startingல threaten பண்ண rate வந்து 26%. So latest updates நடுவுல என்னாச்சுன்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா US said that on India, right, on India it will impose a tariff of 25%. So initially சொன்ன tariffs வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா 25%. அப்படின்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா number 1, US has a trade deficit with India. Okay, so in the context வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா US has a trade deficit with India and India is on the surplus, number 1. Second is what they feel is India is trying to procure defense system and crude oil from Russia, especially at a time when the Russia-Ukraine war is going on. That is also making US very unhappy, right? But இதுவே பாத்தீங்கன்னா such double standards, let me tell you, US itself is procuring uranium from Russia. European Union continues to procure more crude oil from Russia than that of India. And what our ministers and senior diplomats have also been citing is that traditional supplies have got cut, especially after the war. Okay, US initially வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா I tried to block India from using Iranian oil as well as Venezuelan oil, right? So next வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா when the war happened, traditional supplies got cut and India was forced to look to Russia, right? When every country around the world is looking for its own self interest, as a country நம்மளும் நம்மளோட இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட்டை பார்க்கணும். Yes, so in this context, what is the way forward? என்ன பண்ணணும்? இது எல்லாமே இதை டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. Let us try understanding this. So yes, உங்க எல்லாருக்குமே தெரியும், starting at 25% tariffs, இப்போ வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா the tariff rate has increased to 50%, right? So tariffனா என்ன? Simple termல சொல்லணும்னா a tax on import. So யாரை டாக்ஸ் பண்ண போறா? So இந்தியாவில் இருக்கிற goods, right, which we are going to send to the US is going to put a tariff on it, right? So in this case, for Indian goods entering to the US, a higher tariff is going to be put. So in the context of பாத்தீங்கன்னா ரொம்ப high tariff போடும்போது it affects our export competition. So here வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா many sectors like agriculture, MSME, they are all going to be affected. Talking about numbers, India US or a trade itself values somewhere around like 186 US billion dollars. இதுல வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா India has a surplus. எவ்வளோ surplus பாத்தீங்கன்னா close to 41.1 US dollars, right? So that is the numbers with regard to India's side. So yes, இங்க வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா what they say is based on some analysis, a tariff, right? An imposition of a tariff at 25% could also affect our GDP growth by 0.6%. Okay, and in the context of pathina, even the current account deficit can also be affected, where the CAD values could increase from 0.6% to 1.15%. So in the context of, we need to understand one more thing. What many say is tariffs on Indian goods entering the US, when additional tariffs are being levied, right, it can drive inflation in India. So see, simple யோசிச்சு பாருங்க, இந்தியாவில் இருக்கிற எக்ஸ்போர்ட்ஸ் ஆர் நவ் என்டரிங் யூஎஸ். ஸோ யூஎஸ் தெர் இஸ் அ மார்க்கெட் ஃபார் இந்தியன் குட்ஸ் டு என்டர். இப்போ வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா யூஎஸ் இஸ் ட்ரைங் டு இம்போஸ் ஹை அமௌண்ட் ஆஃப் டேரிஃப்ஸ். ஸோ வாட் வில் ஹேப்பன்? Indian goods eventually entering the US market will start dropping, right? So with fewer Indian goods entering the US market, right, number or amount of dollars India enter பண்றது கம்மி ஆயிடுமா? யோசிச்சு பாருங்க. இந்தியாவில் இருக்கிற நிறைய குட்ஸ் யூஎஸ்க்கு போறது கம்மி ஆச்சுன்னா the amount of US dollars entering India will become less. So if the amount of US dollars entering India becomes less, then the demand for US dollars increases in the Indian market, right? But on the other hand, what will happen? If increase aachana, rupee will start depreciating. If rupee starts depreciating, right, imports will become costlier. If imports higher prices basically driving inflation, right? So in the linkage konja carefully try to replay this once again and understand this very carefully, because either link panni UPSC previous year questions nariya vandirukku, right? So any implications on inflation, rupee devaluation, or because of interest rates, இதை வச்சு questions past. So in this case, try to understand this, okay? So yes, so இதுதான் வந்து overlying synopsis of what could be the implication. Basically என்ன சொல்றாங்கன்னா, higher tariffs on Indian goods could basically drive inflation in India, and also imports will eventually become very costlier, okay? So in the context, this is nothing but the brief discussion over here. So next, moving forward, what we need to understand is the next topic. Russia launches construction of Kazakhstan's first nuclear facility, right? First nuclear facility. So in the context, majorly என்ன discuss பண்ணிருக்காங்கன்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா, yes, Central Asian countries are very good with mineral reserves, right? Uranium இருக்கட்டும், many other important mineral reserves, uranium, all this they have very good deposits. So in the context வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா, Russia is going to be engaging in constructing Kazakhstan's first nuclear facility. So in the context, yes, one thing we need major takeaway வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா, Kazakhstan is the world's biggest uranium major point. Yeah, the important previous questions வந்து கேட்டிருக்காங்க. the answer was Democratic Republic of Congo. அதே கொஸ்டினோட ஆப்ஷன்ல கசாகிஸ்தானும் இருக்கு. and you all know ஆப்ஷன்ஸ் இருந்து கூட கொஸ்டின்ஸ் கேட்கறதுக்கு ப்ராபபிலிட்டி அதிகம் in UPSC exam. so இந்த கான்டெக்ட்ல yes, the world's highest uranium reserves எங்க இருக்குன்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா it is in Kazakhstan. so yes, in the context of few more things we need to understand is although Kazakhstan has good amount of reserves, right, generation of electricity or output வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா it is very less. அதையும் வந்து இங்க சைட் பண்ணிருக்காங்க. overall majorly if you know, right, with regard to the reserves இது மட்டும் தெரிஞ்சுக்கிட்டா போறோம் இந்த கான்டெக்ட்ல. okay, and here one more thing you need to understand is Kazakhstan supplies 43% of the world's uranium and is the third largest supplier of raw uranium to the European Union. Okay, so these are the two major takeaways with this particular topic, right? so world's largest producer of uranium, it is Kazakhstan, right? so இவ்ளோ தெரிஞ்சுக்கிட்டா போறோம். next moving forward 2023ல கேட்ட question. so இத பாருங்க. about 3/4 of the world's cobalt, a metal required for the manufacture of batteries for electric motor vehicles, is produced by எந்த country ன்னு கேட்டிருக்காங்க. any guesses? the correct answer over here is பாத்தீங்கன்னா the Democratic Republic of Congo. okay, that is the correct answer. and in the context because Kazakhstan is given in the option always has a higher probability of repeating in another year as a question. okay, so here you should have a certain amount of clarity. next one more thing apart from this பாத்தீங்கன்னா many times questions பார்க்கும்போது it will be slightly lengthy. it is made lengthy intentionally to kill your time. for example, directly about 3/4 of the world's cobalt is produced by in கேட்கலாம். but here metal required for the manufacture of batteries for electric motor vehicles is just to kill your time. so yes, be aware of all that. demand of the question புரிஞ்சிட்டு try to immediately figure out the answer. okay, so next வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா let's move on to topics of 10th August. so yes, untouchability wall raised in Karur in Tamil Nadu brought down. okay, so இது வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா an important topic from your GS paper 1, Indian society. so yes, என்ன சொல்றாங்கன்னா the wall was about 200 feet. okay, and what they say is, what people say is, it was erected by certain high caste Hindus. and here it is seen as a form of discrimination towards people belonging to lower caste. so caste related issues வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா it is always in news. recently கூட we witnessed a honor killing event which took place, correct? so yes, caste with all its unique peculiar features is very unique to India, right? caste system as a form of stratification. so in the context வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா few more things we need to understand. in our constitution, article 17 stands for abolition of untouchability, right? untouchability is an offense, right? we have abolished this long ago, so this we are already aware. so in the context yes, the reason why this has been done was still not clear, but what many people have justified is, number one, this been built by people of upper caste as a way to exclude or exclude people of certain lower castes. That was one. Second, what many people have justified is around this area a lot of alcoholism and like very unnecessary activities are taking place, and for people to secure themselves this wall has been built. so yes, இது வந்து still under the scope of discussion, but here what you need to understand is caste. please read about it. உங்க Indian society பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் caste is a major topic. caste system வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா it is a form of stratification. stratification னா என்ன? it is derived from the word called as strata. so அந்த காலத்துல caste system had a very strong role. of course in today's world also it is present in the Indian society, but just that caste system has got a bit weakened, right? new forms of caste violence is increased. caste system as a form of stratification is actually progressing towards what is called as class. okay, so caste is shifting towards what is called as class. so yeah, வந்து Indian society there has been changes in the notion of caste. number one, we have a constitution where article 17 says abolition of untouchability. article 15 talks about right to equality. talks about right to life and personal liberties. yes, we have a constitution, right? and in there we have certain fundamental rights, we have DPSP fundamental duties, right? we have the role of a judiciary which is the defender of our constitution. schemes and initiatives are being taken to empower and uplift the vulnerable sections. Today's world, right, there's also been an impact of globalization, westernization, modernization. Cities expand aga when people migrate from villages and move towards urban areas. There is a change in their communication, in their socialization, right? Marriages வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா in today's world, they are shifting more from endogamy to exogamy, meaning traditional arranged marriages towards individual preferred marriages like love marriages. So yes, all these have helped break down the caste shackles, right? Education irukku, awareness irukku, social media is there. But at the same time, the negative has also taken place, because although in today's world caste system மாறினாலுமே, right, நம்மளே பார்க்குறோம், honor killings-ஆ இருக்கட்டும், untouchability-ஆ இருக்கட்டும், denying people entry into certain temples, accessing certain public resources, this still continues to exist, and iதையும் we have to change, right? So yes, so in the context we have just understood some basic areas with regard to Indian society, because caste system based பண்ண questions வந்திருக்கு. Okay, so yes, in the context in the question பாருங்க, very easy question. இந்த மாதிரிலாம் வந்தா please try to get marks immediately. Don't even think. Which article of the Indian Constitution abolishes untouchability? All of you straight away know the answer is Article 17. If questions like this come, consider yourself lucky. Additional 2 marks. That's it. Okay, so next in this context, moving on to the next topic. Halfway into talks for global plastics treaty, consensus remains elusive. So yes, overall context என்ன ஆச்சு அதெல்லாம் தாண்டி what we need to understand is, be it developed, be it developing countries, the discussions on plastic and arriving at a consensus has become very difficult. ரொம்ப வருஷமாவே the world is trying to come up with a global plastics treaty, but இது வந்து it is only like it's on paper and has never come into proper existence. So yes, differences of opinion நிறைய இருக்கு, right? So in the context about plastics பத்தி already நம்ம நிறைய discuss பண்ணியிருக்கோம். So just few quick updates நம்ம பார்ப்போம். So here majorly வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா, what are the reasons why different countries have different opinions on management of plastic? Number one பாத்தீங்கன்னா, global north versus global south divide. Developed countries இருக்கட்டும், developing countries இருக்கட்டும், differences of opinion இருக்கு. Now we talk about developed countries, right? Developed countries வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா, petrochemical industries வந்து they are benefiting a lot through plastic production. Okay, so they feel placing restrictions, right, இதெல்லாம் it is putting them at a very unfair disadvantage. Next one வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா, many countries they say we should only talk about plastic recycling, plastic management, but not deal with how to over. அதையும் நிறைய பேர் சொல்றாங்க. நெக்ஸ்ட் ஒன் வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா, developing countries, yes, sometimes we face the brunt of all this, because the countries, developed countries usually use developing and least developed countries to dump all their. So in the மாதிரி situations கூட are regularly happening, right? So next one, lack of research and funding, right? நிறைய research பண்ணணும் to develop alternatives, that is also not been there, right? And on the other hand வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா, the consciousness to shift towards sustainable living is also not there, right? And what many people feel is, plastics has become so a part of our life. நம்ம லைஃபோடே ஒரு பார்ட்டா ஆயிடுச்சு பிளாஸ்டிக். சடனா வந்து எல்லா இடத்துலயும் நம்ம பிளாஸ்டிக்கை வந்து கம்ப்ளீட்லி கிளியர் அவுட் பண்ணா massively supply chain பயங்கரமா எஃபெக்ட் பண்ணும். That is also what many people have cited, right? And in this case, நிறைய பேர் என்ன சொல்றாங்கன்னா, polluters pays principle-யும் நம்ம வந்து ensure பண்ணணும். Polluters pay principle அப்படின்னா என்ன? The person who's manufacturing plastics should also be responsible for the recycling, management and reuse of it, correct? அதோட end user வந்து they should be responsible for treating it again and not just blame it on the consumer and not take responsibility, right? So இதையும் வந்து they have said. India பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் we are also trying to promote a circular economy. We are also trying to shift towards sustainability. நம்ம வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா we have an initiative, right? It's called as Mission Life. So the Mission Life ல வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா it's called Lifestyle for the Environment. And here we have mooted the idea of circular economy, right? Reduce, right, not using single use plastics எல்லாமே நம்ம ஸ்ட்ரெஸ் பண்ணியிருக்கோம். சர்க்குலர் எக்கனாமினா என்ன? ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் வேஸ்ட் ப்ரொடியூஸ் ஆகுது, அதே வேஸ்ட்டை வந்து we will treat it, reduce, recycle, reuse, refurbish, try to bring it back to the mainstream system again. So resource extraction becomes less and one particular commodity gets very effectively used, right? So இது எல்லாமே இதில் டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. Fine. So yes, in the context, few topics related to plastic pollution that I want you all to have an idea. இது வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா this was seen in a place called as Madeira. It was there in news a year or two ago. Madeira is located in Portugal. So இது வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா this is known by the name plastic crust. So the plastic crust வந்து என்னன்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா on rocks, right? Fragments of plastic were seen deposited on the rocks. So oceanல sea watersல ஏகப்பட்ட plastic இருக்குன்னா when this constantly collides with rocks, right, they completely get filled. So imagine ராக்ஸ்ல இவ்வளோ பிளாஸ்டிக் ஒட்டுதுன்னா அப்போ ஆக்சுவல் ஓஷன் அண்ட் சி வாட்டர்ஸ்ல எவ்வளோ பிளாஸ்டிக் இருந்திருக்கும், ரைட்? அண்ட் நெக்ஸ்ட் லுக் அட் திஸ் இஸ் கால்ட் as nurdle, NURDLE. nurdle is a form of microplastic. ரொம்ப tiny plastic pellets சைஸ்ல இருக்கும். It can be ingested by fish and many other aquatic organisms. Says around 600 nurdles is required to make one plastic. About nurdles, the form of microplastic. Okay, next one வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா let's also talk about few more things. So here look at this is a particular variety of cactus. It is called as prickly pear cactus, right? So in the prickly pear cactus which many researchers and scientists have tried coming up with certain alternatives to plastic. So here it is more of a friendly solution, eco-friendly solution. இதோட sap, in the cactus ஓட sap, when other types of substances are added to it, a particular material can be prepared which is as good as. So idu pathiyo lot of research is being going on. Okay, and next look at this image. Any idea what this image reveals? It has something to do with plastic. Okay, so yes, idu vandu enna pathingana, it is called as a polyblend road. Polyblend road. So what this polyblend road is basically பாத்தீங்கன்னா பெங்களூர்ல ஒரு ஸ்ட்ரெச்ல இந்த ரோடு லே பண்ணிருக்காங்க. ஸோ நீங்களே யோசிச்சு பாருங்க, யூஸ்வலி when roads are laid, biggest problem in roads is the pothole problem. ஸோ நிறைய டூ வீலர்ஸ் ஓட்டுறவங்க கூட இந்த பாட்ஹோல்ல வண்டியை விட்டாங்கன்னா ஆக்சிடென்ட்ஸ் ஹேப்பன். ஸோ இந்த பாலிபிளண்ட் ரோட்ஸ் வந்து ரொம்ப சிம்பிள் ஐடியா. நிறைய பிளாஸ்டிக் இருக்கு, இந்த பிளாஸ்டிக் வேஸ்டோட கலந்து if we add bitumen plus plastic waste can be mixed together and can be used for laying roads. Number one, pothole problem illa. Pothole problem kammi aidum. Second, we are making use of our plastics in a very effective way, right? So because we spoke about plastic treaty, I was giving you some additional points which you can use in your answers for value addition. Okay, so in the context, remember all of this. Next, look at this previous year question. 2019 la ketirukanga, why is there a great concern about microbeads that are released into the environment? Okay, so 2019 prelims la ketirukanga ida. They are considered harmful to marine ecosystems. They are considered to cause skin cancer in children. They are small enough to be absorbed by crop plants in irrigated fields. They are often found to be used as food adulterants. In the context that the correct answer is A, they are considered harmful to marine ecosystems. Okay, so yes, in the mari questions where the microbead is another name for microplastic. Okay, so yes, with this let's also look into this topic. In Gurez Valley, a lone man is archiving the Dart Shin story. So in the topic not much to discuss. Simple takeaways வந்து என்னன்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா, the Dart Shin tribe, இவங்க வந்து they ruled large parts of Kashmir in the 16th century. Okay, 16th century ல நிறைய parts in Kashmir வந்து was ruled by this particular tribe called as the Dart Shin tribe. So in the context வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா, currently they are confined to a place called as the Gurez Valley. So here வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா, the article they just spoken about their different jewelry, the artifacts, etc. that this particular tribe has been using. And yes, one more thing for you all to know is, in the it is classified as a scheduled tribe by the union government. Okay, so here these are the two major information that you need with this particular topic. Art and culture பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் sometimes, right, festivals, right, artifacts, etc. could become important. Okay, so here these are few things. That's it. Next வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா, let's talk about this fishing cat. Okay, so fishing cat, so all of you know GS paper 3 la there is one area called as species in news. So flora and fauna in news are very important, especially fauna, because many questions on fauna come in the exam, right? So fishing cat பத்தி ஒரு article கொடுத்திருக்காங்க, right? Fishing cat, what are its characteristic features, right? அது எந்த மாதிரி locations இருக்கும்? Usually water, wetland based locations and the fishing cat நம்ம பார்க்கலாம், right? Is it active during the day or active during the night? It is actually a nocturnal creature. Nocturnal, இந்த word கேள்விப்பட்டிருக்கீங்களா? Nocturnal. Nocturnal na enna? Active during the night. For example, நீங்களே யோசிச்சு பாருங்க. Many times, right? Many people might tell you, right? In the course of preparation, you have become a night owl. Yeah, because owl வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா it is active in the night, right? And sometimes many people feel night time ல படிக்கும்போது there's more peace, more calm. So many people tend to do that as well. So nocturnal basically means active during the night. Diurnal na என்னன்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா active in the day, sleeps at night. So nocturnal. So remember this word nocturnal. Okay. So yes, in the context வந்து என்னெல்லாம் பண்ணிருக்காங்க with regard to the fishing cat, efforts taken to conserve it, right, to track its population. And the context of what they have said is they have basically used GPS collars. So GPS collars, right, for all these, for some of these fishing cats to monitor its like its habitat, right, certain threats that it faces, right. So and so that effective data can also be collected. Any guesses? Fishing cat is the state animal of which particular state? If you are aware, please reply on the comment box. Any idea? Fishing cat is the state animal of which particular state? Okay, so fishing cat வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா it is a state animal of the state of which state? Okay, so I will keep this towards the end. Okay, meanwhile I'll wait for your responses in the chat. So yes, moving forward, இதுதான் fishing cat, right? So look at it. So if you see, இந்த fishing cat வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா வீட்ல இருக்கிற average cat ஓட it is 2 times bigger in size. Okay, it is slightly bigger in size. And ஒரு regular catக்கும் ஒரு big cat, when I say big cat, I'm talking about lion, cheetah, snow leopard, etc. ஒரு பிக் கேட்டுக்கு நடுவில் இருக்கிற ஒரு இன்டர்மீடியட் சைஸ் கேட், இதுதான் ஃபிஷிங் கேட். ஓகே, ஸோ ஃபிஷிங் கேட் அப்படின்னு சொல்லும்போது இட்ஸ் மேஜர் டயட் இஸ் நத்திங் பட் ஃபிஷ். Fine. So usually வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா few things about this fishing cat. It is mostly found in wetlands, especially across mangroves. இந்தியாவில் வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா across major mangroves, right, along this entire eastern stretch, especially in places like the Sundarbans, in Koringa, etc. In all these places, right, you can find the fishing cat. So next வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா it has certain adaptations. So I think நம்ம environmentல படிக்கும்போது we've already understood adaptation na என்ன. What is an adaptation? Any attribute that the animal has to help it survive better. So in the context that the fishing cat, because it is living in such aquatic habitats, it also needs to have certain characteristics which will enable it to survive and live better. So என்னன்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா number one, if you look at its paws, right, it has webbed paws which allow it to remain in water well. Next, அதோட fur வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா it has a water resistant fur. That is also important. Diet வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா more or less consuming fish. It is a nocturnal creature, right? These are the major characteristics. Indiaல வந்து majorly Sundarbans, Chilika Lake, Koringa, in all these places you can find the fishing cat. Major reason for threat, நான் உங்க எல்லார்கிட்டையும் already சொல்லிட்டேன். Threats of majority of the species that you read பாத்தீங்கன்னா major reason habitat loss and fragmentation. நீங்க படிக்கிற almost 95% of all species ஓட majority or the major threat would be habitat loss and fragmentation. But exceptions do exist. For example, vultures பார்த்துக்கிட்டிங்கன்னா the reason for vulture decline in India was majorly to do with the use of a drug called as diclofenac. So diclofenac வந்து it is a veterinary drug, right? So it is given to cattle. So cow இறந்துட்டாலுமே diclofenac கவுவோட பாடியில இருக்கும். உங்க எல்லாருக்குமே தெரியும் vulture is a scavenger. So when the vulture comes to eat the meat, right, the dead carcass, diclofenac will enter into its body and it will die. So majority of the species major reason for loss is habitat loss and fragmentation. But in the context, exceptions can vary from species. Okay, so this is one. Next one, enna solranga man animal conflict has also been the reason. So man animal conflict எப்படி அப்படின்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா usually இந்த fishing cat வந்து இந்த இடத்துல ஈஸ்டர்ன் கோஸ்ட் இருக்கிற many people are dependent on fishing for their livelihood. So many times fishing catக்கும் fish தேவைப்படுது ஃபுட்டுக்காக. ஸோ அது வந்து இந்த சைட்டுக்குள்ள வரும்போது retaliatory conflicts and retaliatory killings are taking place, right? So these are the few things. Next வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா as per IUCN Red List, the fishing cat is listed as a vulnerable species. So guys, let me tell you, நீங்க நிறைய websites, I mean random websites போய் பாத்தீங்கன்னா it will show endangered and not vulnerable. But very recently, that is few years ago, right, fishing cat population slightly improve ஆனதுனால on the IUCN Red List, it was changed from endangered to vulnerable. So please don't have this confusion. Okay, so these are few things about the fishing cat. Next one, today's topics வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா primarily three major topics, right? So first one வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா India has set an example in lion conservation, says the environment minister. So in this context வந்து என்னன்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா Asiatic lions பத்தி specifically பேசியிருக்காங்க. Okay, so Asiatic lion. So yes, India பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் we have different types of big cats. So big cats அப்படின்னு பார்த்துட்டிங்கன்னா what are the different big cats? We have multiple big cats, lions, cheetahs, leopards, right? Snow leopards. All this comes under the scope of a big cat. So இதுல வந்து இந்தியால வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா especially in Gujarat, right? In Gujarat, in the Gir National Park and Wildlife Sanctuary and the surrounding regions, there is a particular type of big cat, and this big cat is called as the Asiatic lion. Okay, the Asiatic lion. So yes, இந்த Asiatic lion பத்தி டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க, ரைட்? அதோட பாப்புலேஷன் எப்படி க்ரோ ஆயிருக்கு அப்படின்னு சொல்லியிருக்காங்க. ஸோ கரண்ட் பாப்புலேஷன் வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா it is somewhere around 891. Earlier it was somewhere in 600s, but now it has jumped to 891 in the last 5 years, which is very good progress and improvement. Next one, what they have discussed is with regard to this, right? Overall, India la vande, we have something also called as the International Big Cat Alliance. I want you all to just read about this IBCA. It was also spearheaded by India, right? Read about it. Apart from that, மற்ற அனிமல்ஸ்க்காக நம்ம என்ன பண்ணியிருக்கோம்? For example, very recently the International Tiger Day was also observed. So in the context, we understood that with regard to India, right, more than 70% of tigers are found in India. நிறைய tiger reserves established பண்ணிட்டோம். Also with regard to many other animals, we have taken multiple efforts. For example, வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா we have tried introducing cheetahs from Africa. So I think all of you know, இந்தியால பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் the Asiatic cheetah is extinct, right? The only Asiatic cheetah is found in Iran. Iran refused to give Asiatic cheetah to India. So Africa, we are bringing African cheetahs and introducing it into several sites such as the Kuno National Park in Madhya Pradesh. So in the context, it is the first intercontinental species translocation wildlife project. Project Cheetah. That was also in news last year. So please Project Cheetah as well. Okay. So the எல்லாமே certain additional information which I'm giving. Project Cheetah. அது தவிர வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா multiple projects we've had. For example, Project Elephant இருக்கு, Great Indian Bustard ஒரு bird. இது பத்தியும் நம்ம previous current affairs topics நம்ம பார்த்தோம். Many initiatives have been taken to ensure that overall, right, animals are getting better protected and conserved. So let me ask you a question. Okay, do you know how many tiger range countries are there in the world? How many tiger range countries are there in the world? Any guesses? How many tiger range countries are there in the world? Okay, so yes, inga pathina what they usually say is there are around 13 tiger range countries and 12 snow leopard range countries. Okay, so remember this. Fine. Okay, so with regard to this, moving forward, overall enna sollirukanga, they have highlighted the growth in the population of Asiatic lions. Last 5 years la 674 lende 891 க்கு it has improved, which is a very good thing. Next one வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா they're talking about a community called as the Maldharis, right? So guys, if you look at the previous playlist, invasive species பத்தி நான் ஒரு வீடியோ பண்ணியிருக்கேன் where I've spoken to you about Maldharis and Prosopis juliflora. இதே கான்டெக்ட்ல பாத்தீங்கன்னா Maldharis, they are a pastoralist community, right? And they are found in this region. What is their relationship between Asiatic lion and the Maldharis அப்படின்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா many times வந்து this Maldari pastoralist community, their livestock is eaten up by Asiatic lions. So indirectly they are supporting it in terms of prey. But you may ask me, why isn't man-animal conflict happening? Yeah, why isn't the Maldari community retaliating? They don't. Why? Because they feel that death is a part of nature. And it is their responsibility to also take care of the wild creatures around them. So in the context, indirectly, the livestock of the Maldari has in some way contributed to prey for the Asiatic lion. So yes, Asiatic lion versus African lion, இதோட differences பத்தி போய் படிங்க. Asiatic lion is also a keystone species. Keystone na என்ன? Dominant species. டாப்ல இருக்கும். And it is responsible for keeping the entire ecosystem effectively feed on the prey population and ensure prey population does not increase abundantly. Okay, so these are few things with regard to this particular topic. There was a very interesting UPSC previous year question in 2024. Lions do not have a particular breeding season. Okay. Unlike most other big cats, cheetahs do not roar. Unlike male lions, male leopards do not proclaim their territory by scent marking. Which of the given statements are correct? So here options பாருங்க. இந்த கொஸ்டினை நம்ம zero knowledge ஓட solve பண்ணலாம். I'll tell you a very interesting technique for it. Go through this. Any idea what the answer is? Okay. So guys, let me tell you one thing. See, lions and lions for the breeding season, ரொம்ப particular statement. Definitely we are not sure. Okay. Leopards not proclaiming the territory. I mean, other big cats. Cheetahs not roaring. Again, pathina Asiatic cheetah itself is extinct in India. How will we know about an extinct species, right? So again, too factual, not sure. But look at the third statement, right? Unlike male lions, male leopards do not proclaim the territory by scent marking. See, இதுதான் வந்து இங்க இருக்கிற biggest hint. UPSC is not interested in knowing whether உங்களுக்கு இந்த எல்லா factsமே ஞாபகம் இருக்கா இல்லையா. UPSC is least interested. But here, please understand, the logic is, if you know, animals by nature itself are territorial. See, நான் உங்களுக்கு simple example சொல்றேன். நீங்க ஒரு ரோட்ல நடந்து போனாலும், if you come across, you will notice dogs. Dogs have a habit of urinating to mark the territories. Animals by nature itself are territorial. When an animal like a dog can urinate and mark its territory, why not a big cat? இந்த லாஜிக்கோட இந்த ஸ்டேட்மெண்ட்டை மட்டும் நீங்க எலிமினேட் பண்ணீங்கன்னா straight away you get the answer A1 and 2. So examல நிறைய questions இருக்கும் where you can just employ limited thinking and logic and try finding out the answer, right? So try to think. It will be very useful for you. Okay. So next, in the context, moving forward, let us look at this particular topic. So in the context, in the article, it can come under international relations as well as economy under agriculture. Policies must be made to mitigate crisis from tariff wars. Nigerian scientist Ademola Adenel has stated this. So very recently, we have already spoken about this person. He is said to have won the first MS Swaminathan annual award for food and peace. Yes, so in the context, MS Swaminathan, அவரோட contributions பத்தியும் நம்ம why this person was honored specifically for his contributions to GM crops, right? And he came up with something called as F3. F3 is nothing but food, fiber, and feed. So feedstock. So in the context, ஒரு single crop வந்து எப்படி multiple benefits நம்ம create பண்ணலாம். ஃபுட்டாகவும் யூஸ் பண்ணலாம், for animal feeடாகவும் யூஸ் பண்ணலாம், human benefitsக்காகவும் we can use it to produce a fiber also. We can use it. This is what this person has largely done, right? So இவர் வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா he has given an approach as to how the interest of agriculture and food security needs to be protected during an ongoing crisis. So in the context அவர் என்ன சொல்றாரு, ஏகப்பட்ட policy gaps இருக்கு, right? So come up with effective policies which can enhance resilience towards such tariffs and protect the agricultural shocks. Second, he says is look out for better research. நிறைய research பண்ணுங்க, develop GM crops. இருக்கிற crops try to promote biofortification, enhance the nutritional value of it, right? Next he's saying try to do genome editing, right? Rely on biotechnology developments, artificial intelligence effectively use பண்ணுங்க. So the எல்லாமே பண்ணா we can somewhere become resilient by ourselves and be less affected by external shocks. Okay, so all these he said. அதே மாதிரி he said traditional food systems also have lot of value. Tribes are இருக்கட்டும், local lights are இருக்கட்டும், they have very good knowledge systems. அவங்களோட food systems நம்ம promote பண்ணணும் and we have to make the best out of it. Okay, so these are few takeaways from it. That's it. So next, in the context, if you have to talk about this, what are the new rules on chemically contaminated sites? Okay, so it's a major takeaway, not much. So overall, some new rules have come under Environmental Protection Act 1986. இதுல சில contaminated sites locate பண்ணிருக்காங்க. எவ்வளோ சைட்ஸ்ல currently remediation is going அதையும் cite பண்ணிருக்காங்க. And what should be the existing rules in identifying them? That is what has been primarily discussed. Okay. So here majorly என்ன சொல்லிருக்காங்கன்னா, the Environment Ministry has introduced the Environment Protection Management of Contaminated Site Rules 2025 and this is under the EPA Act 1986. Okay, so what is the primary mandate of this particular act? Main என்ன, ஒரு legal framework கொடுக்கணும் to help us to identify contaminated sites across India. So இதுல என்ன சொல்லிருக்காங்கன்னா, so far there are around close to 103 contaminated sites, but இதுல remediation is only going on for 7 particular sites. எதெல்லாம் has been brought under the definition of contaminated sites இதுல கொடுத்திருக்காங்க. Usually areas which are used for dumping hazardous waste, right? Whether it is to do with like causing large amount of soil, groundwater pollution. அதே மாதிரி பார்த்தீங்கன்னா certain sites have also been excluded. For example, மைனிங்காக இருக்கட்டும், ஆயில் ஸ்பில்ஸாக இருக்கட்டும், ரேடியோ ஆக்டிவ் வேஸ்டாக இருக்கட்டும், இதை வந்து நம்ம எக்ஸ்க்ளூட் பண்ணியிருக்கோம். நெக்ஸ்ட் ஒன் வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா they have also reinforced the principle of polluters pay. The people who are responsible for causing the pollution are in turn at the end of the day they are required to ensure that this is effectively curtailed. Okay, so at the same idea main aim வந்து என்ன, clean up பண்ணணும், accountability enhance பண்ணணும், contaminated sites should not proliferate and continue. Simple reason, water pollute ஆச்சுனா aquatic systems are affected, food is affected, food chains are affected, human health is also impacted. So overall this is the major crux, right? So guys, I hope the discussion for today was useful. We slightly extended beyond time because we had to analyze topics in depth, right? So make the best use of this initiative, right? Thank you and have a great Monday and a great day. All the best and God bless you.